In this video, we're going to go through the basics of a voltaic cell, and I strongly recommend not just writing notes and following mine. This is a great thing to draw from memory, to understand and know all of the terms. It really helps to draw it. Anyway, a voltaic cell is made up of two half cells. A voltaic cell is basically a battery. It can do work, electrical work. Okay, the voltaic cell has two half cells. A half cell is a container with a solution, and in the solution we have a piece of metal. In this case, I have zinc, and then floating around this in the solution, I have zinc ions. Okay, that's one half cell. Let's draw another half cell. In this half cell, I have a solution as well. I have a piece of metal. In this solution, this piece of metal is copper. It has to be a different metal than the other half cell. Floating around in solution, I have copper ions. Between the two, connecting them, I have what's called a salt bridge. The salt bridge has a gel inside and it has ions. It allows charge to flow from one side to the other so that charge doesn't build up on one side, because then the reaction would stop. So it's not really a real active part of the voltaic cell. We'll talk about it more in lecture. Okay, and then I have a wire that connects the two, but in between I have a voltmeter. A voltmeter, of course, measures voltage. And voltage is essentially electrical pressure. It's the tendency for an electrical current to flow. So through that current, or through that voltmeter, I'm going to see the pressure at which electrons are traveling from one side to the other. And by the way, so electrons are going from the zinc to the copper. Okay, each one of these half cells has a chemical reaction happening. We call it a half cell reaction. Here we have zinc that's neutral going to zinc ions that are floating in solution and releasing two electrons. Those two electrons are coming to the copper and joining on the surface with the copper ions to become solid copper. Okay. These that I just wrote are called the half cell reactions. Okay, on this half cell is called the anode. We always draw the anode on the left by convention. The anode is where electrons are lost, and losing electrons is called oxidation. So we always have oxidation occurring at the anode, and it's on the left. On the right, we have the cathode. This electrode is called the cathode. So the whole thing is an electrode. This is a terminal. The cathode is where electrons are gained, and gaining electrons is called reduction. For each half-cell reaction, we could look up on a table an electromotive force. That's what E stands for. In this case, we would want the one for oxidation of zinc, and we could find that on a table. It's a positive number. Positive means it's more likely to occur, and it's in voltage. So this E can be a little confusing because E is for electromotive force, but we often call that the potential. The cell potential. In this case, it's a half cell potential. We could do the same thing for copper. We could look up it's basically copper's tendency to be reduced. So this would be a reduction potential for copper, and it's also a positive number, which means it's more likely to occur. Okay, well, we could take these two half reactions and add them up and get a net reaction. And on this, I'm going to draw the state symbols. On the metals that are solids, a lot of times we'll put zeros there because they don't have a charge. It's really an oxidation number, which we will be talking about. But anyway, okay, and if this is the overall reaction, we could also write the overall potential. So this means this is the cell potential. Remember, the cell is this whole thing with both half cells, the zinc and the copper half cells. To get the cell potential, all you do is you add up the two half cell potentials. Okay, and then the beauty of all of this is this voltage that we can calculate from tables is going to be the voltage that we read up here on our voltmeter. And that's it. A lot of terms, a lot of conventions about how things are written. This is a good guide, kind of to a reference, and like I said, it's a good way to study is to kind of lay one of these out. I think when you draw it, you remember it better.